Now let's move to the panel number 4. Wow, now this is also a very crucial topic. We now turn the topic to that sits at a very core of organizational trust, resilience, and digital integrity. Yes, let's learn both traditional and non-traditional data analytics techniques to detect fraud signals early, even when they are making noise. Well, the question is no longer, can we prevent the fraud? Now the question is transformed, can we protect the trust without compromising customer experience? Yes. So now the recent report by PwC highlighted that over 50% of financial institutions in India faced at least one significant fraud attempt now in the past year. So the most linked to it was the manipulation and data misuse. So let's learn from the leaders what they have to say, because they are the leaders who are now building the fraud resilience. Let's get going. I'm calling upon the panelists, and the topic is fraud prevention, protecting the business against the identity, trust, and fraud. Our panelists are the leaders and experts, and let's call them on the stage. Calling upon Mr. Ajay Kumar Kanth, Head Fraud Risk Management Unit, Aditya Birla Capital Limited. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Thank you so much for joining in. Let's look forward for the great session out here. So this is the last panel discussion followed by awards, and I'm looking forward for a very great engaging session. Calling upon Deepti Rathor, Head International Audit, Geo Finance. Can we have a huge round of applause? I'll call upon Rahul Arora, SVP Fraud Control Risk, RBL Bank, to join this fabulous set of panel. And we have a huge round of applause for him as well. Requesting and calling Ravindra Singh Negi, Group CRO, Bank of Baroda. Can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you so much for joining in. Calling upon Rajendra Singh Chhabra, Senior VP Head Risk Control Unit, Universal Sompo. Can we have a huge round of applause for him as well? Requesting Akshay Shah, Head Risk Containment Unit, the Muthoot Group. Once again, fabulous insights going to be here. Thank you so much. Expertise panel joining in, and joining this great panel is Hemant Saklecha, CRO, Flexi Loans. Can we have a huge round of applause? Now let me call the moderator, David Vigar, VP Sales, Route Mobile. Thank you. Can we have a huge round of applause for our moderator? We shall be taking this panel further.
Thank you very much, and it's lovely to be here back in India. And this is a great opportunity for myself in particular to learn the challenges that are seen in the Indian market in particular. I work with businesses, both banking, financial and non-financial, across the emerging world, from Indonesia across to Colombia. And the frauds and the challenges I see from the customers we work with vary significantly country to country, and the same in my home country of the United Kingdom. So this is a great opportunity for me to learn what are the challenges we see in India, and what are the approaches and the solutions coming forward. I'm grateful to my fellow panelists for their insights. So I'd like to start with a very broad question. And Ajay, if I could start with you, what frauds are top of mind for you these days?
So good evening, everyone. Good evening or good afternoon. Sorry, but good afternoon, everyone. And thanks, David, for the question. And I hope after lunch these sessions are happening, and we'll try to make it more interesting. So to start with, I'll just give you a real anecdote, where I'll give you the perspective from the fraudster's point of view, how they are looking at the frauds which are going on, and what they are doing, what efforts they are taking to make it a grand success for them. So I've told in one of the forum this particular incident. It happened in Northeast. You are familiar that is also one of the location where it's now growing. Like you have heard about Jamtara, there are Nu, there are those various pockets of pan-India, whether it is insurance, whether it is any other BFSI products, fraudsters are fraudsters. So there, it doesn't change whether it is they're doing for insurance and all. But yeah, they are having the expertise to which kind of frauds they would like to, like we look out for the roles, whether it is finance, operation, compliance and all, they're also looking out for which products which we can do easier frauds. So I happened to have an interaction with one of the accused, and he was doing obviously the digital frauds. And why I'm trying to refer to this particular incident is that will give us a kind of thing what we can do, what is in our control which we can do. Rest you can't try to control each and everything. But at least the systems and the process and the policies can be in our control, which we can look at. So the guy it was an identity theft case, and the police officers told us that you can interact with this guy and know what is the modus operandi, how they operate and all. So while we were interacting with him, so we asked the one question कि कैसे करते हो? तरीका क्या है? What? So they had the entire, they have a system. They have people from, you have seen Jamtara and all the similar kind of setup they have. They have informal, they have customer service kind of profile also. They have the MIS, they have all those kind of people who are looking as a support system kind of. And then they have those kind of the data, the websites and all. So there are those kind of websites where you can get all the PAN details of all the people, PAN India. So वहाँ पे जब they have been doing it, you pay 5,000 and you can get n number of PAN. So if I am Ajay, there would be thousands of Ajay. So they will take those PAN numbers. Then उसके बाद next process also they know. Now we have to identify the CIBIL, whether CIBIL is good or not. So they will check that. फिर the CIBIL, whose CIBIL is good, they will try to approach, उसके create करेंगे, and then they will approach for the lending. They will not generally apply for the phygital kind of things, but they will go for digital because that is much easier. So then they will apply those things, and then they will see which company is having least control. So for them the time is very essence. Time is not something that, so their TAT is also very stringent than us. So they will try to see, and they will see if they are able to, fine. Otherwise they will move on. They will not wait for so long कि okay ठीक है एक और attempt करते हैं, and then they will try to do a penny drop kind of thing. और उसके बाद then they will move, and that's how they have so many n number of NBFCs are there, companies, banks, everyone is there. So somewhere or the other they will get in success. So that was the thing which, and the guy told me one line which was very kind of stuck in my mind, heart, whatever you can say, is that कि वो जो site था ना sir, वो बहुत अच्छा था हम लोगों के लिए. सारा कुछ हमें एक ही जगह पे मिल जाता था, and it was easier for us to actually take over. So those kind of things which are happening, and then they have those telegrams, they have groups. So we were talking earlier session also that data sharing, the negatives, the list which are there, we should synchronize, we should communicate amongst each other and share those kind of things with us amongst the industry, within the company also. They share, they have those platforms where in the Telegram, if you go, there have thousands of people are there in that group, and they share, okay, this company ka bhi system is down, you can apply there. So, and we have seen those snapshots, screenshots we have seen where these things are going on. So one of us can be victim of that. And as someone was saying, it's also actually not only the organization but the individual per se also. And there are those kind of gullible people who are getting those trapped into these kind of things. And later you come to know that कि मेरे नाम से loan कहीं और चल रहा है, and we have already taken the loan, आपको मिल नहीं सकता loan. So then you realize that कि I have taken a loan, someone else has taken in my name. So these kind of things are growing quite rapidly as we are moving into more digitization. We need to take good care of these controls, and whatever best control we can do, we should do those things. We can take help of the experts and all, and I'm sure those things are, and we have been witnessing those ID theft cases which were very high at one time. Now we are seeing those kind of trends dipping, and we are able to control. And I'm not talking from only my organization, but most of the organizations which are having those kind of controls. And I'm sure in future also those things will happen. Yeah.
Thank you. Rahul, coming to you, a perspective from the banking industry, please.
That's a fantastic question, David. As fraud risk professionals, we are fighting a battle on so many fronts. I'll try to cover as much as products and channels that the battle that we face. Starting from onboarding, due to deep fake AI, the kind of document forgery that's happening now, it's not easy to detect. So that's where the fight is, that the person that is getting onboarded, how do you stop there and then? That leads to money mule problem or fraud, fraudulent person coming into your entity. There were instances where the customer that you're onboarding, maybe a proprietorship firm, they will have a premises rented out. Rent is paid for 11 months. And when you go and visit the premises, you do your site visit verification, you will click a photograph which will have a geo-tagging, everything is there, business is there. Few months onboarded, in span of 15 days, crores of rupees have gone. When you go back and check, the rent is paid for 11 months, nobody is there. So a lot of times the documentation is so perfect. So at the time of onboarding is where a battle that you have to fight. So maybe the right kind of questions at the time of onboarding, asking what's the business model. There something is an area of improvement, I would say. A lot of times these days, fraudsters are very innovative in taking the documentation from a common man. I've heard cases where in a tier 2 village, a fake Aadhaar camp setup was there, which means we'll give you government identification provided by a lunch. Everybody was so happy with the lunch facility that they were more keen that I'll finish my procedure and go for lunch or maybe a token of appreciation. They never bothered that I'm doing my credentials have been taken or Aadhaar biometric have been taken, all validated. Mobile number, email ID of a different person. The person does not even know that there is a bank account in his name which is being used for money laundering purposes. That side of it's happening. From the employee side of it, we are seeing more, cases of criminal breach of trust, I would say. Some cases, senior citizen bankers rely on customers that, these are my funds, you need to manage my funds. Or maybe at times in extreme situations, will give a blank check, invest my funds. You will see that for the short period of time, those funds are routed somewhere. A lot of times fixed deposit slips are given to the customer. Nothing is there in the banking system. Customer is getting money. At times even he's getting an interest in the bank account also from a different source. The customer will not validate what's come. In terms of credit card, we've seen I have a limit of 1 lakh. There will be a credit of 2 lakhs in the credit card. Somebody may have done a fraud somewhere, and for the proceeds of crime to be utilized, there's actually your limit is 1 lakh. But the credit in your credit card is 2 lakhs, which means you can do a transactions of 2 lakh. So that's kind of a thing. Lastly, in terms of demographics of customers, we've seen cases where account takeover, mobile number, email ID have been changed. Maybe a message has gone to the customer or not gone to the customer. The fraudster or maybe a bank employee has a complete control of the account, which means if I'm engaging a transaction, the OTP will never go to the customer. That's one. Lastly, on the digital side, we've seen a spurt basically in 2 age groups. Young age group, 25 to 25, 26 I believe, who are always in a hurry to make a digital transactions. The fraudsters will attack them based on season. If there's a concert happening in a location, you will find cheaper tickets, maybe the new iPhone getting launched. Click on that and APK file will sit on your mobile, you will not be even aware. And when the transaction has been initiated, OTP and the calls will go to the fraudster. A lot of times we've rejected the transactions based on certain rules. But because the device was compromised, the IVR call, which will go to the fraudster, he will confirm on the IVR call, I was attempting the transaction. And the real customer will never get the messages. So these kinds of digital frauds are also on the rise. That's what.
Thank you. Akshay, coming to you, do you have a perspective particularly on frauds where humans are the weak link in the chain, whether that's the consumer or the employee?
So, hi, good afternoon, everyone. I actually wanted to add a bit of a traditional point over here. Yes, we all talk about the data analytics, the AI piece and all that. But I represent a company, Muthoot, and we actually are a powerhouse in gold loans, you know, and gold loans actually we touch the a different set of customers or different set of individuals in the country. What I would like to point out over here, and that will take a bit of going back in the time. Yeah, we all have grown from a traditional fraud control perspective. It used to be called an FCU, still called an FCU, fraud control unit. But now it is being said that it has to be, someone in the previous panel said that it has to be a single line of defense. There's not different line of defense. I agree with that perspective primarily. I think Sagar, you said it. I agree with that perspective primarily because if I only look at gold loan, and I'm not talking about any other product over here, we actually want gold of the customer, and gold, the customer is actually trusting us in that sense, right? It is unlike a lot of other products where we have to trust the customer as a banker or as a service provider. In gold loan, it's the reverse. The customer has to trust us, right? So from it's a mutual trust kind of a scenario. When we talk about fraud in gold loans, we have two major categories of frauds coming up, and one is of course spurious gold, which is of course a very well-known thing. Other thing is whether the person who is getting gold as an ornament for getting money for us to lend is actually the owner of the gold or not. We don't have anything to prove. Like unlike a lot of scenarios, like in a property mortgage loan, we have something to prove that there is a chain title, 13 years, 30 years, whatever we call it. In an imperfect, perfect collateral, we have some data. In gold, how many of us, I don't know, I think we'll have some very few hands going up. How many of us actually have the receipt of the ornaments or the gold that we have? I don't think so. I mean, hardly few, 5-10%. That is only if we start buying from Tanishq and etc. nowadays. The primitive way of buying gold and getting transferred from generation to generation was a bit different, right? So from this perspective, we don't have a legitimate proof that Akshay is going to a branch and he's actually the owner of that ornament that is coming to pledge with me, right? So that is another set of things. So we take a declaration, we take an undertaking, etc. However, when we have got cases wherein there is a counterclaim on this, that this gold belongs to X and not Y, who has come and taken loan from us. All this we are not able to capture in any kind of analytics as on date. Even as on date, we try to do a mapping of it, but we are not able to capture in any kind of analytics as on date. Point number one. Point number two, and very critical point which I want to raise, is about the employees who deal. I was talking, I mean, some time back we were talking at the backstage about a concept called KYE. In our organization, we have started something called KYE, know your employee. Rather than know your customer, it's about know your employee. Because we have a lot of front-end staffs. I mean, just even 6,000 odd branches across the country, and so many frontline staff working day in, day out for disbursing loan, everyone doing a similar kind of role. There is no separate functioning like an undertaking function or an RCU or a legal technical. Everyone doing a very similar kind of a role. So the issue which we face is, we have seen, I think this exercise started in our organization some years back, a year or so back. We have seen a lot of transaction in the employee's account which does not authenticate it, which are not authenticated, which does not belong to the employee or even any of his or her relative or something. These are those transactions wherein the employee is asking or requesting the customer that you need to do this, otherwise your gold will be, I mean the pledged gold will be locked with us because you have not paid so much. You know, these set of customers that we get, and we still 140 odd, 40 crores odd is our population. We have a lot of people who are coming up to that curve. They still take gold loan basis that they want money, immediate money. They rightly put by something we were talking backstage. Gold loan is also taken for the understanding purpose for increasing and bettering your CIBIL score or your bureau score. There is no prepayment penalty most of the times in gold loan because it's a gold. It's an emotional, sentimental gold that people are giving us. So I take a gold loan, I close it in a month. I take a gold loan, I close it in 2 months. That way, I actually increase my score. That kind of fraud also we have found. Recently, just a couple of days back, a customer came to me, rather us in the branch, and we came to know that he has live 25 gold loans going on. 25 gold loans for a customer who is based out of Mumbai, a metropolitan city, 25 gold loans going on. 2 years back, his CIBIL was 544, and today his CIBIL is more than 700. That's what he has done. Right? So whatever fraud we talk, yes, of course, there is AI generated scams that we find, that's voice modulation, there is something called syndicated frauds or account takeovers are happening. Yes, identity impersonation happening, everything is there. But the way that we need to arrest the fraud in this case is something which is still challenging, and we want to understand how to go ahead in this. Every learning is happening with every different kind of fraud that we are seeing, particularly in gold loans.
Thank you. Rajendra.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. As far as insurance is concerned, we do lot of, prior to 2-3 years, there was a very high issue in data. We do not have any data for analytics and all. Now, the way technology is being developed, we are right now developing many kind of tools, in-house tools also to identify frauds. I will give you an example. A few days back, we identified a health claim from a hospital in Western Mumbai. And the same person has also claimed in with some other disease in Central Mumbai, that too in Airoli itself. When we tried to identify the person was not available because the case is of impersonation. The person we identified, that person in somewhere in Bid. Then again we started investigation how he came to this place and got admitted and all. Somehow we could identify that person, and we come to know that the hospital TPA person who is engaging with insurance company has taken a lot of policies in different people's name, and they only operate insurance claim from the hospital. The modus operandi was very beautiful. Nobody can trigger out it. The ticket size of the claims were very low, though insurance companies were also ignoring it. We went again a step ahead. We could identify that 2 hospitals claimed around 776 claims with different names in 7 insurance companies. We have filed an FIR against that hospital, taking some more evidences, and we filed the FIR. Now other insurance companies, few of the insurance companies are asking that we want recovery, we don't want to file FIR or action. But still, as we are very much prudent and do not tolerate any kind of fraud, we always go for filing FIR and all. The modus of operandi was same. They stole the data of the genuine people who are not living inside the Mumbai. They are spread across the Maharashtra. They purchase their policies from different insurance companies. Same kind of claim document were used multiple times, and that could be possible by internal collaboration. It also require industry collaboration also. We did lot of collaboration with other insurance company, that whether such set of claims you have also identified. Few companies come ahead, they have collaborated. We joined hands with them and identified all the data. We went to the police and filed a FIR recently against these 2 hospitals. So, and in the same manner, going ahead, what we did, all the negative data which we identified earlier as a fraud, or we observed various fraud in the industry, we keep all that data in our data bank. We have built our own data bank, and now we have deduped. Each and every claim will be deduped within our data, and then it will pop up fraudulent triggers to us. That will help us to again identify more and more frauds.
Thank you. Interesting to hear that the frauds that different verticals are seeing are not always the same, and that they can vary depending on the line of business you're in. Ravindra, if I could come to you, thinking about the solutions you have implemented to combat fraud up until now, have you seen a trade-off between fraud prevention and user experience? Or have you seen examples where you've been able to make improvements to both in tandem?
So thank you, David. And first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. A very interesting question, actually. So you'll see in the industry, the maximum amount of frauds and the number of frauds, they come from the banking system. So when you see the data for the last 7 years, you will definitely see the amount of frauds. It's in a declining phase and exponentially in a declining phase. But when you talk about the numbers, they will exponentially, they will be going up. And now this dimension have shifted towards the digital. As we become more digitized, the frauds have become more sophisticated in that terms. Now, as the banking industry or maybe financial industry, insurance industry, or maybe NBFCs and all. So over a period of time, we have learned a lot, and we actually tighten our underwriting criterias, our processes, our systems. And then you'll find the credit side frauds actually declining to that one. And it is extremely challenging for any fraudster to get into the system of a bank, NBFC, or any company, because you have so many kind of circles of the security which you have to bypass, and it is extremely challenging for anybody to get into. So that won't happen. Now, how do you can still commit a fraud is that the fraud dimension shifts to the customer himself. Now they don't touch the bank, they touch the customer. So it is not that our system is compromised or they get into our system, but they get into the minds of the customer and they get into the system of the customer, maybe your mobile. So that is where actually this happens. Now these are more of a kind of like digitized, so they also have that sort of like strategy around it, how to build logic, how to actually profile you. A social engineering is done. So mostly you will find these kind of things are done by the youngsters. So in India, you will find the average age around 29 years. So very young country. And a lot of graduates. So they can design that kind of, so one side, one industry which does not abide by any regulation. And they get free to experiment. So they are also deploying AI and ML. So we should not be mistaken that it is only us who can deploy these tools, but much more than us, they deploy these tools. So these tools are open and they are toys for them. Without any rules and regulation, they can play around. They can play that game on their own terms. While we are a regulated industry, we have to play within the boundaries. And that is where actually David has asked a very great question. Now, how do you actually strike a balance between the safety, security, and convenience for the customer? And that is where whatever model you built, AI-based, ML-based, or any kind of model, can it 100% prevent fraud? Can it 100% detect fraud? The answer is no. And therefore, you might actually be very, very comfortable that when your model says, okay, it is 90% sort of accurate, and on backtesting, you're satisfied. But still the false positive rate is there. So some customers will be inconvenienced. And particularly as it happens in the AI space, artificial intelligence or machine learning based things, because please note that the fraudsters also, they are deploying these rules. Very fast, you will see the accuracy of the models comes down, and the accuracy will exponentially come down. And therefore, each day there is a fight between an organized industry, organized network, and unorganized industry, unorganized network. So it is network with network. Now, which network actually wins the race? So we see in terms of now, because they are not able to penetrate banking industry or the company itself, now it shifts towards the customer actually, and they are able to dive. Now just think about the customer actually who is being looted. Now the customer who is having money in his account, if you have money in your account, you are a perfect target. If you don't have money, I will not chase you. So that is this thing. 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh. Maybe my cost benefit analysis, means fraudster. His cost benefit analysis will not allow to target account with 50,000, 1 lakh. So he has to actually target and match his cost benefit, and accordingly then this list he gets, and you go to the dark web, you go to the social side, the data which you have disclosed, a number of points which you have revealed yourself, they need not go into the bank. Your data is on float. It can easily be got. And then a social engineering can be done, and basis that, a perfect strategy for you can be drawn. And that is what happens. These people who have money in the account, they are well-educated people. They are PhDs, they are postgraduates, they are graduates, they are engineers, they may be scientists, they may be high-ranking officials. They are being looted. And just think about the digital arrest. That some highly educated person getting a call that you are digitally arrested, and he is arrested. Just think about that. So they are able to actually design that strategy where they know your psychology. Maybe they are the experts in the psychology. They are masters of that, and therefore you fall into it. And that is where actually the fraud happens. And that trend we see in terms of numbers and the customer being targeted and cheated, that number has actually increased. But when you go to the amount per fraud, it is very small. It's not that large as it used to be previously. So that is what the trend we see. And we continuously actually fight. Every day there is a war. Now rules, the models actually they are dynamic. And every day there is a fight as if it is a game. The game is being played. Now who wins at the end of the day? That is, that will decide who actually has upper hand. So thank you.
Thank you. Deepti, if I could come to you, we see an evolution in how we fight fraud into looking at data analysis and getting into behavioral analytics. In your experience in audit, what are the techniques that you're using, that you're seeing being used to analyze data to identify and combat fraud?
Thank you, David, and thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure. So to answer your question, David, in terms of data analytics or audit analytics, things have evolved over a period of time. Looking at traditional way in which we used to do data analytics, it used to be, business rule engines. You used to look at the policies, and you list down all the list of controls that are there, and then, basis the SQL queries, the data analytics used to follow. Now this has evolved over a period of time. Now the traditional methods in which you used to do analytics has evolved, but I would say they still hold good. They are time and tested. And they are the foundation of data analytics as we speak. We talk of rule-based data analytics. We talk of bank reconciliations or ratio analysis or trend analysis. They all are going to stay. But having said that, the new techniques in terms of data analytics, moving to the non-traditional based, when we are talking of AI, ML, or we are talking of unstructured data mining, these are the new techniques. There are voice analytics, we have geotagging, we have behavioral analysis. All of these things are new. And to integrate both of these techniques is where I feel is a game changer for the financial service industry. Having said that, we were evaluating quite a few solutions in the market, and I was actually behind the stage talking to people, and we came with an offering where the solution provider came up with say that you give us any data in any shape and form, be it emails or PDFs or Word document. We will read the data and we will give you all the email signatures which have not matched for a particular customer. So those kind of trends and patterns is where we are able to see the AI ML help us. So blending both is the new thing, and also because this comes with predictive power. It comes with scalability and also agility, and that's where I see the audit analytics shaping up. It helps to move us from sample-based testing to 100% population testing. We are able to also look at the red flags in real-time, continuous basis, rather than looking at the traditional way where we used to do a more of detection kind of a technique. Here is more preventive, is what I would say.
Thank you. Hemant, coming to you. AI, of course, it's a big buzzword in many industries, verticals, solutions. How is AI helping you in your fight against fraud?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Thanks everyone, and good evening. we've been talking, I think even the other panel members have talked about the traditional ways of fraud prevention, detection and monitoring. That has its own set of challenges, as we all know now, because it's more rule driven. And the response time when the trigger comes, that also takes time. And the third thing is you can't control it in real time. And third thing is the accuracy levels. So with use of AI and ML and what benefit it brings to us, and in terms of, so from a traditional data rule set driven, we can actually empower our models with alternate data, with large set of data, to identify the triggers or frauds. So how it helps in that case is that you are actually able to work on a very large data set and go to very precise, high level of precision in terms of identification of fraud, and the false positives are reduced to as much as we can. So as I think somebody said that in any case we cannot be 100% perfect, right? But higher the level of precision, lower the customer inconvenience and lowers better customer services also. So to balance between that, I think it's important. Second thing is that these AI models work on real-time basis. So we don't have to really wait for the rule algorithms to run and then see the trigger and then understand it and then go back and then rework on the models. I think that models can itself work on a real-time basis, and it is adaptive also. So it helps basically adopting to the change in the patterns. So when we do fraud detection, I think a couple of things which keep coming is the pattern recognition, the anomaly detection, unusual patterns, etc. And when the patterns change, that pattern change, and we've been talking, right, fraudsters are ahead of us. So they will get to know much earlier than what we react to. So when the pattern changes, I think in our earlier traditional models, that methodology is not there to understand the change in pattern, because that we only do in a hindsight later and then correct our models. But by that time, a lot of flow has happened. I'm talking more from lending perspective right now. So that helps here, because real time understanding the change in pattern and building it in the models itself. So where you can use those models, to real time correction and detection. So that helps. And finally, I think the traditional models don't work on non-traditional data sets, unstructured data sets. I think that power also comes with the use of AI ML, to build models and to do fraud monitoring on the unstructured data sets. I think that helps. We have been using AI ML models in our journey here as well as in my prior journeys. So we use alternate data, large set of data, the transaction data, and combine all of these to raise a trigger, because as we speak, I think digital lending is one of the most vulnerable segment in terms of fraud. And we have seen incidences in past. I think some of us shared experiences, in terms of the instances which are happening in the industry. And I think one which I recall now is that you will find there are pockets in country where agencies are sitting, and those agencies are orchestrating all this entire thing. They arrange everything, and there is a sharing formula between the customer and the agency, that we will get you a loan and you X percentage has to be with us. And these borrowers are sometimes, like, they are not credit worthy, but they are not frauds, right? They are victim of this entire incident. So they, because of that, getting that money, they actually, get trapped, and the way financial institutions also get a hit. So I think in understanding the pattern, of transactions through AI ML models, and one example is that we saw surge in the number of, applications coming from a particular pocket, suddenly. And there is no trigger, everything looking fine, CIBIL score 750 plus, all customers looking salary, genuine, different employers, so there is no trigger otherwise. But when we put it on a monitoring, right, at a let long level, in terms of time, what time the application is being made, how many applications are being bad in a particular span of time, etc. We suddenly realize some unusual pattern, that something is happening here. And very thankfully, very early, maybe in a couple of days time, we realized there is something wrong, and we just did a deep dive and we understood, oh, there is something happening, and somebody sitting there and trying to orchestrate their entire fraud. So it was a saving. So that's what I think that AI/ML brings that power, for all of us to, get real-time, precise, and more refined.
I want to add on to this point. One more thing is, as far as insurance is concerned, we do not have any hunter or central repository of fraud data. We do have IIB, but it is also right now evolving. Now what we do, we started our own repository, collecting our own repository using bot that too on social media, on news channels and all, where we find few words like fuzzy claim, such trigger types words, motor durghatna, vahan durghatna claim, इस type के जो some triggers which we identified will add on value to the data. We started identifying such words, and through bot we started our own repository. Now if we have repository and our internal system do not speak with each other, suppose our operational system, underwriting system, claim system and fraud risk control unit system is not collaborating with each other and with that data repository, then there is no use of it. We have created a data lake within the organization, and entire data lake is now accessible to all the different systems, departments. Wherever any new customer comes into picture, it gives a signal that we need not to take this customer in. If somehow that customers come in and later on his mobile number during the claim period, his mobile number or any other identity match with our repository, then again it will trigger to our claim system, hey, this is a fraud or this is suspicious, this is amber claim, you need to be cautious. Likewise, we also, it is also helpful to us to safeguard the genuine customers' this liability. We keep on paying timely claims to genuine customers, and we hold such suspicious claims by red flagging through our artificial intelligence machine learning system. Thanks.
Thank you. Deepti, did you want to add something on this topic?
So David, in terms of audit analytics, when we are talking of, for example, always it's important to, keep asking yourselves what can go wrong, and just try and build your, SQL queries or data points in and around that. And we've been all talking of collaborations with the first, second, third line. I think the blend of, there's one team to protect and safeguard the organization. It's very important that we all understand that there are vulnerabilities. Fraudsters are much ahead of us. They are very smarter, and it's a syndicate that is working. It's not one or two person, right? It's a group of people and they are masterminds. So as an industry, within the company, within the organization, it's important to build good, strong collaboration so that we understand and will fight, protect against, this vulnerabilities. That's what I can say right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sadly, we're almost at time, but before we do go, I'd like to ask each of the panelists, and if I start at the end with Hemant, as people in the audience here grapple with frauds, challenges that their businesses are facing today and in the future, what's one piece of advice that you could give them from your experience of how they could approach that and ultimately help protect their business, protect their customers?
Balancing between the customer expectations. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry. As members of the audience think about the challenges in their business around fraud, from your experience, what's one piece of advice that you could give them to help them in their approach to fighting fraud?
Yeah, I think one thing is I have not seen last few years, I can say, KYC frauds happening. At least in my experience, I have not seen. I think with the use of the evolved KYC methods in terms of video KYC, DG KYC, Aadhaar-based KYC, 𝐸-KYC, I think the KYC thing has gone. But one thing which keeps bothering, a couple of instances, in fact, in last few years' time, is that one is tampering of other documents for a profile elevation. I think that's one thing, and it has multiple aspects into it. Bank statement is one which is the most vulnerable in my view. I think we have a lot of digital technologies today for metadata, alteration, detection, etc., But as I was still witness, cases passing through and had pain later. So that's one area which I feel is, I think, still needs to work on. Second thing is this PAN theft cases, the profile elevation which comes from. So with use of DG KYC and all KYC methods nowadays, video KYC, DG KYC and eKYC, I think, as I said, KYC theft is not there. But I have seen customers traveling the entire KYC journey smoothly, right, genuinely, but they don't deserve to be eligible for the credit they are looking for. And what they do is that they use somebody else's PAN in the same name. And most of us would have implemented by now this PAN Aadhaar link check, etc., which is helping basically avoid such kind of frauds. So that's the two. And third thing is, I think some products, nuances, right? A small ticket, digital loans or consumer durable loans or two-wheeler kind of products where we have seen that everything is genuine, but the borrower is actually, the KYCs are used is actually from a very, basically a labor class or worker class, and the KYCs are purchased. And this borrower is traveling the journey genuinely, but somebody else is using this entire thing. And there is definitely some arrangement to give some money to him and so on. And later it results into default. So I think those are the three things which what I feel, I think, and it has to evolve is what I would say.
Thank you. Akshay, if I could ask you, and if you can keep it to 30 seconds as we're almost out of time.
Yeah, sure. I think sometime back, one of my co-panelists said that using of AI, ML, machine learning, everything is fine. But you know what? All of us know that fraudsters are always ahead of us. It's an ocean, but they are swimming much ahead of us in that piece. So to catch up with that, like I would not talk about the gold loan piece now, but the other business that we are into, we are trying some techniques like triangulation of data, catching various points of the fraudster or the customer to check whether the authenticity is there or not. That is one point that we are trying currently to build in our system. And we are also, one last point, we are also trying to look from a regression analysis, in the sense past data analysis. Like when we talk about the analytics, it's a traditional method, it's always past looking. But the machine learning is forward looking. So basis that regression analysis, because it's a huge database that we have of the customers, whether we can predict something through machine learning models that we are planning to adopt for preventing fraud is something which we are looking into.
Thank you. Ravindra.
Yeah, so the piece of advice will be that if each one of the employee can be turned into the risk manager. So one side is the employee, another side is the customer, and in between is one machine. So if each of the employees turns to be a risk manager, and then machine, intelligent human being, and informed customer, I think this will be the advice.
My advice is to use your own data bank very promptly and let it speak with each department. Do not consolidate it for a single purpose. Use it for entire organization. It will help everyone. And one more thing, nowadays various services are there, like you may connect with the legal services where you can get the customer legal history. And civil, we are already there, we are getting that. But legal history is one of the important things which you may get, and you may decide that whether you have to onboard such customers or not. That will be a better option as far as my suggestion.
Thank you.
The key takeaway for everyone, I would say, is have an ecosystem of enterprise-wide fraud risk management system. There has to be, and all parties have to be stakeholder. It has to be the respective business. They should, the ability that the fraud team needs to communicate what needs to be fixed at the time of sourcing or everything. Communication to customers, do's and don'ts about how to save your documents, share your documents. Communication to employees in general in the bank that how do you have to be aware, what do you have to communicate. In this entire framework, the sales team has to be there, the product team has to be there, cyber security team has to be a key team, your business, your HR. It has to be a culture which has to be communicated. While everybody spoke about AI, ML, I would say you still, even if there are organizations which are a little cost-centric, they don't want to invest, I would say still read your current fraud data. What is your customer saying? How did they got defrauded? You have regulatory notices that come from cyber portal which will tell you how the customer got defrauded. You have a suspect mobile list. Collate all that data, try to make sense of what it is saying. There are a lot of out systems or data governance systems which you can do analysis T+2 or T+3 basis, which will still tell you what is the exact thing that needs to be fixed. So I feel while we need to adapt to newer technologies, while the regulator is saying IP-based monitoring has to be done, biometric behavior needs to be studied and everything, while all that we need to do, if we get the basics right, and if we are communicating what we are finding in our framework which is lacking to the first line of defense or the businesses, at least you can start fixing those gaps. Same modus operandi will not repeat. So that framework needs to be plugged in, and that doesn't cost anything.
Thank you. Deepti.
So one piece, in fact, I have three piece of advices. My panelists have already, covered most of it. But the first one is verify before you trust. Phishing as a service is, increasing. I'm sure everyone would have, covered it in the earlier sessions during the day, if at all. So that's very important. Second is protect your digital footprint, be it your personal, identifiable data or, your passwords and all. And secondly is spread awareness and education. Customers are the weakest link in the system, so it's very important that we try and, educate our customers. When I'm talking of customers, it's third-party service providers, our vendors, our internal stakeholders, and our, core, borrowers. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, so one is, I'll just give you one line which generally I talk about is, what is compliance for us is non-compliance for the fraudsters. So what they think on. So we have, panelists have spoken about n number of the preventive, corrective, and punitive measures. And those things are, obviously those things, as we are moving into the digital world, it needs to be taken away that way. But in that, we should not forget about that we should also be having those physical visits, physical interaction should never stop. In the war just which got concluded, whatever, I don't want to talk about that, but one thing we have seen that this particular thing was more on the digital, more on drones, missiles and all. But that would not have been possible if the intelligence would have failed. So the effort of the intelligence agencies on the ground is equally important, and then only you can execute. So if we don't go on the field, if we don't know what kind of, how the people are moving towards, how the fraudsters, the fraudsters also does Reiki. We have seen in insurance, and we have seen that they go to various locations, they find out who are, and in the life insurance and in the, health insurance as well as general, we have seen that people used to go to those locations and see who's at which place the person is either dead or on the deathbed or are suffering from critical diseases. And then they used to prepare those documentations and they used to take it forward. So the field can't be replaced by any digital tool or anything. It can be a combination of that. The perfect balance should be there. But the field should be one, and the second thing being a risk, in the risk role. We should always be, awareness you can create to others, but first we should be aware what is going on in the kind of, in the fraud things around the ecosystem, in various kind of BFSIs, not only limiting to, because the fraudsters would be the same. They might be doing today insurance, sometimes later they might be doing something else. So we should be aware of what is there on the ground and accordingly also build the systems and AI, ML, communications, collaborations, everything will be there. But we should also be first knowing the ground reality, what is going on. That's.
Thank you. And that takes us to the end of our panel. I'd like to thank everyone here for listening. I'd like to thank my fellow panelists for an interesting and engaging conversation. And of course to our hosts. I'd like to leave you with one final quote which comes from Noel Seawright, who works at MasterCard Identity. And it reminds me every day why this is so important. The money raised from fraud funds organizations that commit some untold misery on humans across the planet. Keep that in mind as you continue working to prevent that fraud from happening. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you. I think it was a stellar panel for shedding light on such a fabulous topic. Thank you. Can we have a huge round of applause for them? Well, I'll request Mr. Amit, the Dolkar Head Sales, Finbox, to come up on stage to felicitate this phenomenal panel. I'll request Mr. Ajay Kumar Kanth to kindly join us forward. Can we have a huge round of applause? Everybody, come on. The last Power Pack panel, amazing. Requesting Deepti Rathor to kindly accept the memento from us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Very insightful strategies again. Thank you. I'll request Rahul Arora, SVP Fraud Control Risk, RBL Bank, to accept the memento. Thank you. Great input, sir. We really look forward for more such discussions happening out. Mr. Ravindra Singh Negi. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. Fabulous. Rajendra Singh Chhabra. Thank you once again, sir. Great perceptions. I'll request Akshay Shah to kindly join us. Thank you. Can we have a huge round of applause, everybody? Also, Hemant Saklecha, thank you once again for a power-loaded panel discussion. Huge round of applause, and of course the moderator of this great panel out here, Mr. David. Thank you for such a fabulous questions that you have framed. Huge round of applause. Everyone, come on.